This is Cam, and today I want to talk to you about my overlooked secret weapon for unique content. This is my overlooked secret weapon for unique content. And I think this is a really interesting thing to talk about. It's very simple, right? It's overlooked and it's simple. And I think this is a really interesting thing to talk about right now because of the simple fact that everyone's running off to, AI to come up with their content ideas, right? Everyone's running off to AI to come up with the next cool little content topic idea for them. And now what I find is the AI is not very original. It's not very original. Any kind of ideas that it comes up with for you, although it's like a magic trick, it's nice because it comes very easy. You just say, "Hey, I need some ideas for this." Oh, I want to write something about such and such, but I need a good clickbait title for it. I need a good polarizing title for this topic or whatever. Any kind of polarizing title that it gives you, any kind of clickbait title that it gives you is going to be derivative, right? It's going to be something that's already been out there a bunch. And when a lot of other people are using things, what happens is everything starts to kind of sound the same and it's not polarizing anymore. It's not interesting anymore. So people are using AI for their topic ideas. People are using AI for their title ideas. People are using AI for all these things that used to require creativity to come up with. Not really a great way to use AI in my opinion, because what happens is it makes you sound the same as everybody else. But what I find personally is that I do little things. I've been doing business. By the way, I'm Cam from Epic Conversions. Okay, I'm Cam from Epic Conversions. Let me say this right off the bat, right here before we really get into this. I want to give you my overlooked secret weapon for unique content. It doesn't have anything to do with AI. Okay, so if you came here for AI tips, you might as well just bounce because I'm not going to give you AI tips today. But what I am going to give you today is going to be easy to do. It's very simple, and I find that I do it almost every single day, and I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about it, and I could probably create a whole course out of what I'm going to talk to you about today. But before I get into it, let me just say I'm Cam from Epic Conversions. If you get value out of these live streams that I do here, I do them pretty much daily throughout the week. I do about 5 live streams a week. Okay, Monday through Friday is when I try to do them. I missed yesterday. I got too busy, wasn't able to get a live stream in yesterday, but I try to do these Monday through Friday on Substack here. And if you like these live streams, just subscribe to my Substack. Okay, you make my day when you subscribe to my Substack. I only got 82 subscribers on my Substack. Okay, so like if you get enjoyment or you get some form of help out of these live streams, subscribe to my Substack. You make my day. I will notice you. I will notice you when you subscribe. I'm not bigger than Baltimore. Okay. I'm not too big on Substack, very small creator on Substack. So, your support and when you subscribe and when you comment on my live streams, when you show up for me, like that is helpful to me. I promise you. So you are helping me by subscribing, by following, by showing up. Man, that's awesome, and I appreciate you. Now, when I get bigger, right, when my Substack gets bigger and there's thousands of people subscribed, I will still appreciate you. But we're at a unique point in history right now where my Substack is very small. So anybody who interacts with me, anybody who, subscribes to me, I definitely notice you. You're like the front runner, right? You're at the beginning. So that's pretty cool. So definitely helpful. Subscribe to my Substack if you enjoy these live streams. Now, if you want to know more about what I do, you want to learn more about my business because something I'm talking about resonates with you. You'd like to know more about what I do to make money online. What you want to do is you want to also get over to epicconversions.com and subscribe to my email list. That way you'll get a feel for how I operate. I make over 80% of my money in the email inbox. So if you want to know how I operate, sign up for my email list. That's at epicconversions.com. Okay, now let's get into today's topic. My overlooked secret weapon for unique content. Let me tell you what it is, first of all, and then I'll tell you 5 ways that I use it. I could give you 20 ways that I use it. Okay. Like I said, this could be a whole course, and I just chose to do it as free content here for you. But what I'm talking about is self-emailing, right? I email myself. I know this sounds silly, but I email myself pretty much every day. Every day I am sending emails to myself. And I want to give you like 5 reasons I email myself every day. So the first one is like reminders and links, right? On resources and trainings. That's something I just sent an email this morning, right? I had signed up for this free course this morning that someone had put out that I wanted to consume. I got there and I saw it was like 5 modules long. I do not have time to get into 5 modules of training, especially because I separate my productivity and my education. Okay, like I separate them. I schedule time for education. All right, I do not just like randomly start educating myself at any point throughout the day. What that does when I do that is like that throws my productivity off. That pulls me out of a workflow, and basically like it derails my whole day. So I can't just be like, randomly going through special reports and randomly reading articles and, randomly educating myself with trainings and stuff throughout the day. I can't do that. I don't operate that way. I separate the two things. The problem is when I see something really cool that I want to go through because I think it looks cool, or a new creator that I find interesting. It could be anything, right? It could be someone I might want to interview at some point. I might want to do an interview with them, or someone who I just think they have something really cool to say, or a really cool little. This will even happen on paid stuff. Like I'll even buy stuff sometimes, and I'll buy it, but I won't have time to go through it at the time, and I will like move on and forget about it. The way I combat that is by sending an email to myself and saying, "Hey, don't forget to go through this training," and I'll put a link in there, right? And I'll send that email to myself. Because one constant with me is I check my email multiple times a day. The email is like it's really like the center, it's the foundation, it's the heart of my business online. So, not just and I tell people for a while, email is the foundation for online business. And I always mean that by email list. Your email list is the foundation of your online business. But I do a lot with email just like by self-emailing too, not even dealing with my list. And this is one of those things. I use it as a way to like kind of remind myself to go through resources, as a way to go through like trainings. If I didn't do that, if I didn't email myself about trainings like that, I would forget about them. I would just forget about them. Now, like I'm telling you right now, like if you are the kind of person like you set yourself about doing a task today, and instead of doing it, what happens is you get an email from somebody, or you get off on a tangent and you find some video that you're watching. And instead of doing the task you set about doing, you just sit back for like an hour and watch a video, right? Or you sit back for like an hour and go through some, link gymnastics that some email guy has sent to you. And now you're off on that and you're looking at a sales page, and now you're trying to figure out if you want to buy this. You get into all this other stuff that's separate from what you were going to do. And it's going to derail your whole day. I'm telling you, it's going to derail your whole day. It's happened to me before. So what happens is, to me, the best way to handle something like that is to take the link, take the resource, send an email to yourself saying, "Hey, I found this resource today. I think this would be a good thing to go through for this reason." Boom, boom, boom. And put a link to it, right? And then sit and fire it off to yourself, because the email is a constant for me, right? I'm always coming back to my email inbox. So I know that later on today, I will check my email and I will see a link that I just put in there today for a course that I wanted to go through. Now, if I didn't do that, if I didn't send that email off to myself, what would happen is I would just forget about that course. It would be gone with the wind, man. It would be gone with the wind. It would be something I looked at. It was very cool, but then I'd move on with my day and I'd forget about it. I would just forget about it. Now, so things you don't want to forget about: links, resources, trainings. It's really good to self-email. And what'll happen is, not only will you remember to take that training later on when you have time, not only will you remember to take advantage of that resource later on when you have time, but also that resource, that training, those things will probably spawn and spur like new content ideas for you as well, right? But they can't spur new content ideas for you. They can't help you in any way, shape, or form if you just forget about them because you got too busy and you moved on. Now, how many of you out there know what I'm talking about? Like you see a resource, you see a training, maybe you make it through half a video or you make it through like the first couple pages of the special report. And then you're like, dude, I'm going to get to this later. I don't have time for this right now. I got to get on with my day. And then you never come back to it. You forget about it, right? It happens to everybody, okay? Especially in this day and age where people's attention spans are so short. So one thing you can do to combat that again is to self-email. Email yourself a link to the resource. You're going to circle back around to your email, put a little note in there in your email about what that resource is, why you're saving it or whatever. And boom, great. Another thing you can do on top of that is you can make a new folder in your email inbox, and you can save those emails in that folder if you want, like self reminder folder or whatever, and you can store them over there if you want to. I don't really do that. I usually leave them in my inbox and put a star beside them so I I remember to look at them. But anyways, what else? What's another one? Okay, I got 5 of these for you, okay? That was 1, okay? Reminders on links and resources and trainings, okay? What's the second one? What's number 2? I dictate content by email all the time. I self-email myself content. Like, pretty much every day I'll go for walks, right? And when I'm taking a walk, sometimes I will dictate an email. I will dictate an email to my phone and I will send it on, right? And like basically what this will be is it'll be like a kind of rough draft of a piece of content. I want to write an article, a blog post, or I want to write an email to my list. Um, well, I will dictate the email or the article or the blog post, the written content. I would dictate it to my phone, and that'll essentially be the rough draft. And then I will fire that email off to myself. And then what I'll do is I'll just copy it and I'll paste it in a Word document when I get home, and I'll just have to edit it. I'll just touch it up, right? But the bones, the basic like infrastructure of the content's there already. Like 80% of the work is done by the time I get home and have to edit it. Most of the work is already done because I dictated the whole thing to my phone, right? And this has been something that's helped me a lot. I've written special reports this way. I've written books this way. I've written emails this way. I've written blog posts this way. I've done this a lot. And it's just all rides the back of self-emailing. I dictate to my phone and I email it, right? So in this way, I can create content without having to write anything. I can just, you open up Gmail and there's a little microphone and you just hit the microphone and dictate whatever you want to say to the phone. And when you're done, just fire it off, right, to yourself. And in this way, it saves me a lot of trouble. Yes. Okay. Saves me a lot of hassle. Yes. But one thing it does that goes beyond that is it allows me to come up with like in the moment like ideas, right? Because when I'm dictating these ideas to my phone, I'm in the moment. I'm not trying to like edit my voice on paper. I'm not trying to like I'm not influenced by other things I've seen on the internet. I'm walking around the neighborhood, or I'm like parked in a parking lot waiting on somebody that I've taken to the doctor or wherever. I'm at these moments in my life where like you're thinking about things differently. Think about this. Like, let's say you take someone to the store, they go in to get a few things, you're waiting in the car. You pull out your phone, you start dictating an email to yourself. Okay, this is going to be a piece of content. Well, the thing is, while you're sitting in that car, while you're waiting in that parking lot, you're in a different mindset than you are when you're sitting on your computer. You're in a different mindset. It's the way you're thinking about life, the way you're thinking about your business. Everything is looking a little bit different depending on where you're at. And for you to know this is true, just consider the fact that how your mood is different when you first wake up in the morning versus when you're getting ready to go to bed at night. When you have a lot of energy versus when you don't have a lot of energy left. Think about how the world looks. Think about how your business looks. Think about how everything looks around you when you're very tired. versus when you had a good night's sleep and you're wide awake. I don't have to tell you, it's different. It looks different. It looks more negative when you're very tired. Everything looks just like, oh man, I don't even want to deal with this right now. And you just want to go to bed, right? So like your energy levels affect your mood. Your energy levels affect the way you see the world. Okay. Well, that's not the only thing that affects the way you see the world. Sometimes just changing your environment affects the way you see the world. All right. So in this way, you can get more unique content that you can't get from AI. You can't get from, a chat GPT or a Gemini or whatever. This is stuff that you can only get when you're looking at the world a little bit differently. You're out and about in the world. You're in different places. And it's not like places where you could normally pick up a pen and a pencil or a pen and a piece of paper and write down your ideas. You couldn't do that, but you have a phone. You can easily dictate your email to yourself, send it off, and boom, you got the idea, right? You got the content. So it's pretty cool. That's a way I use it also. So what about number 3? Here's the third way that I self-email to come up with unique, content ideas, unique content. Um, I come up with a lot of like ideas about things, and a lot of them are bad ideas, and a lot of them are cool, interesting. And some of the ideas I come up with, like they don't even make any sense. Like it doesn't even make any sense. But what I learned a long time ago is that ideas are very fragile. Like they're very fragile. You could have a good idea while you're taking a walk. I'll have a good idea while I am, grocery shopping. I'm at the store buying milk and eggs or whatever, and I have an idea for something. And you think, oh, that's a good idea. I'll have to like explore that later. Wrong. You're not going to explore it later. What's going to happen is you're going to forget about it by the time you hit the door of this grocery store and it'll be gone. That could be $1 million idea, just gone. So every time I have like an idea, and the ideas don't operate on your schedule. The ideas come whenever they come. They operate on their own schedule. So what I do is I try to manage that. And how I manage the ideas is recognize that number one, they're very fragile. They can be gone in an instant. So what that means is you have to treat them like something valuable that is also very fragile. So what I do is no matter where I'm at, if I have an idea that comes to my mind, I will take out my phone. I will dictate it in an email, simple few words in the email for the idea, and I'll fire it off to myself, right? Now that does two things. Number one, yes, it documents the idea, but by firing it off to myself, what that forces me to do is revisit the idea later. Okay. See, I've tried this in a few different ways before I start self-emailing ideas. Okay. So the way I used to do it was I'd have a notes app, right? I'd have a notes app on my phone where I could just record notes. Okay. The problem with that is, guess what? And then I didn't feel like typing on my phone. So I just said, I'm just going to record the ideas like little audio files. And I tried that. You know what the problem with those two ideas were? Those two methods of recording my ideas, they were great. The problem is I did not revisit those apps. I don't revisit the apps. I record the ideas and I put them in there, but I don't revisit it. Now, listen, there is a certain like imprint that happens when you actually verbalize your idea or you actually type out the idea, right? If it's just an idea in your head and it never goes beyond being an idea in your head, it's easier to forget. And yes, it's a little less easy to forget when you type it out and save it. It's a little less easy to forget when you verbalize it and record it. Yes. But the ultimate way to not forget that idea is emailing it to yourself. Because what happens is not only do you get the benefit of typing it out or dictating it, verbalizing it, what your phone's dictating it for you, but also you fire it off to yourself. So what happens is you force yourself to revisit that idea. When you check your email later, you see the idea and you open it up and revisit it. That puts a huge imprint on your brain so you remember your ideas. Then you can take it a step further. You can create an idea folder in your email inbox. And all those idea emails, you can put them in the inbox folder. You can put them in the idea folder in your inbox. So very, very helpful. Great way to come up with ideas. Great way to save your ideas that you come up with. You just never know when the next $1 million idea is going to strike. And you don't know, like the ideas you come up with, you don't know if they're going to be an idea for a new business, an idea for a new product, an idea for, a new email idea, a new idea for a new live stream like I'm doing right here. The idea for this live stream that I'm doing with you guys, this came simply because this morning I had a training that I had latched onto and I wanted to kind of go through it. But I realized, man, I don't have time to go through this training right now. I want to actually get some stuff done in my business. Um, and I also have to run some errands today outside the house. So I don't have time to go through this training right now, but I don't want to forget this training. So what did I do? I emailed a link to the training to myself because I knew I would check my email later and I will revisit it. I will come back, I'll circle back around to and revisit it. If I didn't do that, you guys, I'm telling you right now, I would have forgotten. I would forget about that training. I would just forget about it. It wouldn't even be something on my mind, but I won't forget about it now because I emailed it to myself. Anyways, fragile ideal saver. That's number 3. Okay. Now I got 2 more for you. All right. Now, before I give you these last 2, I want to remind you, if you are enjoying this live stream, if you like watching my live streams, I want you to know I do this like 5 days a week. Okay. Monday through Friday. Now I miss a day every once in a while. Something will happen. I won't have time to get on here for you guys, but I try to do this Monday through Friday, pretty much every single day. Not the weekends. I take the weekends off, but like pretty much Monday through Friday, I'm always here. So if you like these, make sure you subscribe to my Substack because that's where I do these live streams. Now, if you're watching this live stream if you're watching this as a replay, I post my replays on YouTube. That's my Zero Fast Returns channel. And I post my replays on Facebook. So if you go to Cam Fats, I'm on Facebook over at Cam Fats. So yes, if you caught this on Facebook or you caught this on YouTube, but you'd like to catch these live, what you want to do is you want to get over to my Substack. So I'm a Cam from Epic Conversions on Substack. Cam from Epic Conversions on Substack. Or if you're listening to this as a podcast on Spotify, because these go out in audio form as well. Well, that's amazing. But if you want to take it to the source, and you want to catch my live stream sometime, what you want to do is you want to get over to Substack and find me over there. Cam from Epic Conversions. That's KAMFROM Epic Conversions. EPICCONVERSIONS. And you might say, well, daggone, Cam, how'd you know how to spell that so easily? That's just because I've been saying it for a long time. Epic Conversions is going to be 10 years old next month in March, right? At the end of this month, Epic Conversions is going to be 10 years old. Crazy, right? Crazy. So I've been doing this for a long time. So that's how. But anyways, if you like these live streams, subscribe on Substack. Okay, you're gonna be doing me a big favor. It helps me out a lot. I'm very small time on Substack. I'm trying to build my audience up. So if you like these live streams, subscribe, man. The other thing is, if you want to know more about my business, you want to know how I make my money, the best thing to do is get over to epicconversions.com and subscribe to my email list, right? Because I can tell you right now, 80% of my business runs through email. All right, so when I say 80% of my business, I just mean monetary transactions, right? How people buy things from me. Most of that happens through email. So if you want to know more about my business and what I do, sign up for my email list, epicconversions.com. All right. But again, I got 2 more of these to share with you. All right. I got 2 more of these to share with you. I see Amphorini's in the house. What's up, man? I got 2 more of these to share with you. So what else? Why else do I practice self-emailing? Why do I do this like every day? Email myself different things. Why do I do it? I got 2 more. To recap the first 3. 1, reminders and links on resources and trainings, right? That's the first reason. So I don't forget stuff I want to do or I want to go through, right? 2, I dictate my content to email and I email it to self. It takes 80% of the work out. Then I can just like edit it when I get home, right? And by dictating content, I come up with interesting ideas that I wouldn't come up with when I'm sitting on my computer or I'm at home in work mode. There's a difference between being in work mode and sitting in a parking lot somewhere, just kind of waiting on someone, and your mind's wandering. You're in more of like this creative space, right? So dictating content and then emailing it to myself, man, that's a win. Okay. 3, fragile idea saver. The third one I talked about was the fragile idea saver, recognizing the ideas are fragile and they don't work on your time. They come to you whenever they come to you. So you can't force ideas. You can't force good ideas. So what I do is I save all my ideas, right? Just by dictating it to my phone and firing off an email. The email forces me to revisit the idea later. If you just use like a note-taking app, or if you just use like an audio recording app and you try to just record those ideas, or you just kind of like take the note and save it in your phone or whatever, you might not visit it anymore. It'll just be sitting in there. You'll forget about it. But by self-emailing the ideas to yourself, what happens is it forces you to revisit it, because you're going to go back and check your emails later. You're going to see that unopened email. It's going to remind you of the idea. It's going to reinforce it. And then you can save it in like a folder or something in your inbox. And very helpful. But I got 2 more for you that I want to talk to you about. Reasons I self-email. Okay. The fourth one is to capture a moment in time, right? And usually this will happen like when I'm at like a library, or I'm at like a grocery store, or I'm at like an antiques mall, or I'm at a garage sale. I could be anywhere. I'm out in the wild somewhere, and something will remind me of something that's interesting. And I think in my mind, like, oh man, this is an interesting thing that I'm looking at here, or this is an interesting subject. I'm not quite sure how this is going to fit, but I want to talk about this in my content somehow, whether it's in a paid course or whether it's just an email I fire off to my list. I want to talk about this. So I'll just take a picture of it and I'll send that picture to myself. I'll share it with myself in email. I'll email the picture to myself to remind me that I wanted to use that for content. Now, I just learned something very interesting the other day that I'll share with you. I didn't know you could do this. Now, maybe you guys all already do this, but I didn't know you could do it. I just learned this the other day. You can actually take a picture with a lot of phones, and you can do this with my phone. You can take a picture of like, something with writing on it. Like if you wrote out some handwritten notes, or like if you take a picture of like a book page, you can take a picture of it, and then there's like 3 little dots, and you can open it up with Google Lens. You can open that picture up with Google Lens, and Google Lens will scan all the writing. It'll scan that picture for all the writing, and you can copy that text, and you can fire that text off to yourself in an email, right? So literally you can take notes from pictures that you've taken. That's amazing, because what that means is you could be at the library, or you could be like hanging out at a bookstore, or you could be hanging out anywhere. You see like a newspaper article, or you see a sign or something like that, and you can snap a picture of it. You can either fire the picture off to yourself, or you can have your phone like kind of like read the text and fire off an email to yourself with the text, basically essentially taking notes from a book page or from wherever, a magazine article, taking notes from that, so that you can remember the idea, right? You can remember the idea, because you'll forget, dude. You'll forget when you're out in public, you're out and about, you're going to forget, man. By the time you get back home, you will forget those ideas. 9 times out of 10, you're going to forget that moment in time. It is a moment in time. And what I found is the best way to capture a moment in time is to take a picture, okay? It could be anything, man. It could be a bird sitting on a fence post, right? And I'll snap a picture of it, and I'll send an email off to myself, and that will like trigger my memory. Oh yeah, I remember that moment in time. I remember why I wanted to send that email to myself now, right? But if I just look at a bird on a fence post and I have an idea for something based on that, like if I don't do anything about it, if I don't send an email off to myself, if I don't send that picture off, I don't snap that picture and send it off to myself, I don't do that, it's going to be gone, man. It's just going to be gone. It's not going to mean a thing. It's just going to be another random thought that I had throughout the day. And it's not going to mean anything, right? But man, I kind of like live by this idea of use everything, right? I live by this idea of use everything. So the things that happen to you throughout the day, a lot of times those become very unique content ideas. The kind of content ideas that ChatGPT cannot come up with for you. AI cannot come up with these kind of things for you. I know the AI is easy, and I know a lot of people are using AI because it's easy. It's easy and it's fast, okay? The problem is everyone's content is starting to sound the same, all right? And the problem with sounding the same as everybody else is that you are going to get ignored. The more like everyone else you sound, the more people tune you out because you're not creating any differentiation for yourself. You don't seem any different. It doesn't even matter. Like, listen, it doesn't even matter if you're in a different niche. Like, you can niche down. Okay. Look, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm in a very oversaturated niche. All right. Like, I am in this, helping small entrepreneurs make more money, right? I deal with kitchen table entrepreneurs, like one man bands is who I deal with. And I help them upgrade their businesses and make more money. All right. Well, guess what? I compete with a lot of big people. Okay. It's a very saturated niche. Now, if I niche down, okay, if I say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on continuity. I'm just going to focus on membership sites instead. That's good. That's one way to reduce your competition. It's true. However, if you're like reducing your competition like that, um, but you're using AI to come up with all your content ideas, you're using AI to come up with all your product ideas, you're using AI to come up with pretty much 80% of what you do in business. Well, you're going to sound a lot like that other guy over there. Even though you guys are in different niches, if you're in like cross sections of each other, um, it's still going to be like if you guys are serving the same market, but you're like serving different, like you're solving different problems in the same market, those people are still going to get used to hearing that kind of talk. They're going to get used to hearing that way of that voice, that natural voice. They're going to get used to that, and you're going to all start to sound the same. I'm telling you right now, you're going to sound the same, and people start tuning things out that sound the same. They start skimming more, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about. You've probably seen this before. You've probably experienced this before. You go through like your Substack, you go through your daily like stack of social media places where you kind of you make the circle, you make the rounds, and you're just kind of skimming things, And it's like nothing's really catching your eye, nothing's really catching your attention. It all kind of sounds the same. That's what I'm talking about, okay? And if it all sounds the same, it doesn't really matter what problem you solve or like how much you've niched down if your content is not creating any impact because it's not standing out. So what I'm saying is we talk about little tactics like self-emailing, right? And this is a very useful tactic for coming up with interesting and unique ideas that you all have. You all experience these unique and interesting ideas, but most times you just forget about them. You don't think about them. You move on with your day. You don't think about it, right? Bird on a wire, man. Bird on a fence post. It was just something you looked at. You thought it was interesting. You didn't capture that moment in time, so you moved on with your day and it was forgotten. But if you snap a picture, send it off to yourself, boom, you're going to remember it later. You're going to see the email unopened. It's going to force you to revisit that moment and you can get some content out of it, okay? All right, that's 4. What's the 5th one, right? The 5th one is, I think something that's helped me. Now, I've burned a lot of bridges in my time. I have. I've burned a lot of bridges in my time. I'm a real, like, just kind of like tell it like it is kind of guy. And that rubs people the wrong way. I'm not going to lie to you. That kind of rubs people the wrong way quite a bit. It's good for my customers, but it's not good for business associates. It's not good for people like I want to work with and stuff like that. They don't like that I'm so just like blunt about things. So it doesn't always serve me well, but I'm a very blunt person. And I could be even blunter though, I could be even more blunt. In fact, some would say I could be even abrasive. But what I do is when things make me mad, when things are irritating to me, or I find things very annoying, what I do, instead of like jumping on social media, instead of like, firing off an email to my list, ranting about it, what I will do is I will dictate an email to myself and I will rant to myself about it. So what I do is it's basically like a vent filter. It's a vent filter. I open my phone up. I would dictate this email to myself, talking about everything I'm mad about when it comes to this particular subject, what really makes me mad. And it'll be a vent filter. So the reason I do that is because, first of all, anything that gets you emotional, all right, matters. Okay. Emotion equals money. You understand? Emotion equals, like, if you get emotional about something, then 9 times out of 10, it's going to make other people emotional too. If you're emotional about it, there's other people out there that are going to be emotional about it too. Emotion equals attention, right? Emotion equals attention. How do we get people to buy things? Emotion. How do people make buying decisions? Emotion, right? They purchase based on emotion. They justify the purchase with logic. Okay, cool. All right, emotion. It all comes back to emotion. So if something is making you mad, right? Getting angry is an emotion. All right. So now your unfiltered anger, it's not necessarily for social media, because what happens is if you let your unfiltered emotion out there on social media because you just want to rant and you want to see if other people agree with you, right? You just want to see if other people agree with you. You know, you're ranting. You want to see if you get an attaboy. You want to see if people pat you on the back and say, yeah, I feel the same way. You want to see if people agree with you, right? You're just feeding your ego, man. You're just looking for like validation, right? But the thing is, validation doesn't help you make money, right? What does help you make money is being a little bit more strategic with your emotion, right? So when you get emotional like that, and everybody does, man, we all get uptight about things. We all get angry about stuff. Um, Use the vent filter, right? Dictate the email to your phone, fire off the email to your phone. And then later on, you'll revisit that email. You'll see that email in your inbox and you'll open it up and you'll say, oh, okay, here's what I was mad about. Yeah, because you won't be mad later. Later on, you won't be irritated about it. You won't be thinking about it. You'll open that email and you'll look at it and you'll be like, oh man, I wonder how I could turn that into that's a really good reason to buy this product. You know, maybe I can turn this into like an email promoting this product. You know what I mean? Or maybe that's a good idea for a product. In fact, maybe I could create a product that solves this problem that I'm mad about, you know? And it kind of moves in that way. But the point is, it had to go through the vent filter first. It couldn't just be some rant. Sometimes when you put your raw emotion out there on social media, you just throw it out there, or you just raw emotion to your email list, you know, it's not received right. Because think about this, man. At the moment where you're feeling like ranty, at the moment where you're feeling angry, and then you fire that message off, right? The people who are receiving your message, they're not all feeling ranty. They're not all feeling anger. They're not in the same emotional state you're in about that thing. So sometimes your raw emotional state can kind of rub them the wrong way. They're like, whoa, I didn't sign up for this, bro. I didn't sign up for this, man. You know what? I'm going to mute this cat. Or, man, I think I'm going to unsubscribe from this guy for a while, man. He's too much for me, man. It's too extra. Calm down, bro. Calm down. They're not in the same emotional state as you are. So what happens is sometimes it's not well received when you got that emotional state. Now, it's confusing because it's usually well read, you know? Usually you get attention when you start ranting about something. Everybody wants to, you know, see the car crash, okay? Everybody shows up for the wreck, you know? It doesn't mean they want to be involved in the wreck, okay? Do you understand? Like, everyone will show up to watch you melt down. Everybody will show up to watch you melt down. That doesn't mean they want to be involved in the meltdown, okay? They just want to show up and watch with popcorn from the sidelines. They want to watch someone else melt down. Why do you think it is, man? Why do you think that people like to watch other people melt down? You know, I could hypothesize on this for you and theorize on this for you. It's probably a topic for another day. The fact is, people are interested in watching you melt down. Like, people are interested in hearing your rants. All right. But, you know, because that gets attention, that doesn't mean that it's going to endear you to those people. It doesn't mean they're ready to hop on board with you and go to the places you want them to go. All right. To do that, you got to be a little bit more strategic. So that's why we do the vent filter, right? You self-email the emotion. You self-email the vent, the vent, the rant. You self-email that rant You dictate it to your phone, you email it to yourself. Later on, you revisit it. You turn that rant into a strategic piece of content that can actually help you, right? And people will get on board because you've had time to kind of vent it out. It's not so raw, right? So anyways, and again, it can be confusing because usually when you rant, you get attention, right? And when you get attention and you look at those numbers, you're like, oh man, when I got more views and more engagement just from ranting. Look at all this. I just ranted about something and people loved that. They showed up and paid attention to that. Look at all this engagement I got from ranting. I'm just gonna rant all the time. No, man, because everybody shows up for the meltdown. They don't want to be part of the meltdown. They just want to watch from the sideline. You guys have seen that meme where like people are like eating popcorn, watching the bad stuff happen. That's what that's like. So, anyways, that's the fifth way that I use self-emailing. Vent filter. Okay. So look, if you enjoyed this content, make sure you subscribe to my Substack because I do these live streams like 5 times a week usually Monday through Friday. I'll be on here doing a live stream, so you can catch me live on Substack if you subscribe to my Substack. Drop me a comment, let me know you're live out there, say hi. I love hearing from people. I only got like 82 subscribers on Substack right now. Very, very small, man. So you're getting in at the bottom level. You help me out more than you know. I subscribe to my Substack. It's a big deal for me. I'm trying to grow this Substack up. And if you want to know more about my business, you want to know more about how I do business, what you want to do is you want to subscribe to my email list. Because like I said, 80% of financial transactions for Epic Conversions runs through email. So if you want to learn more about what I do and how I do business, you want to get over to epicconversions.com, sign up for my email list. Anyways, I'd love to have you in both of those places, on my Substack or in my email inbox. Love to have you. Feel free to ask me questions. You guys are amazing. Have yourself a fantastic Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow for another one. Peace now.